Hey, what is up, awesome people? ShadyWags here, coming at you with part 2 of the Stellaris Beginner's Guide. And in this video, I'm going to be going over contacting other alien empires and also starting war with other empires. Again, this is a very basic guide. There is a lot of strategy involved in regarding empire relations and war, but I'm just going to go over the very basic aspects of it. Now, one thing I didn't go over in part 1 is the anomalies that your scientists discovered and then didn't research. I told you if an anomaly is over 20% to leave it and to research it later, and that's because if they fail, several things could happen. One is when they fail, you potentially are going to lose extra resources. You could lose access to a special project, or even your scientists could die. So over time, if you've left those, you could have a lot of anomalies that you still need to research. So once your scientist levels up, you're going to need to go back and research those. And to find them, just go down here to the bottom right of the screen, and you want to click on the Details Map mode. When that's on, it's going to display all the unresearched anomalies. Those are going to appear as microscope icons, and it's also going to display any unresearched special projects. Those show up as exclamation points. To research an anomaly, select your science ship from the outliner, then you're going to click on the anomaly and click on the research button, and the scientist will begin moving to the anomaly.
Situation log updated.
Now, to research the special project, what you do is click on the situation log. This will list all of the current open special projects. If we click on a special project, it's going to list the requirements we need to have. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the Go To button, and this will take us right to the location of that special project. I'll then select my science ship from the outliner, then right-click on the special project icon and select Research. And then that scientist will begin making their way to that special project. Through the course of the match, you're going to encounter unidentified alien ships. Those could be neutral, yellow ships, or show up as hostile red ships. And once you encounter those ships, you'll be presented with a visual cue, which is going to notify you that you have encountered an unidentified alien, and it's going to give them a name like bogies or ghosts. And then it's also going to give you a special project that you need to research. To research that, go up to the situation log and locate the special project. It's going to give you the time it's going to take to complete and the type of research it will use. So if we go ahead and research this, it's going to take 8 months, and it's going to be taking 60 society points to research it. I'll go ahead and click on research, and if we go over to our list of researchers, we can see the society researcher has been pulled off of their normal research and is now researching the special project. And to see their progress, we need to go back to the situation log, and we can see the bar here is moving. Once that's complete, if it is a red hostile, you'll be given more information on the hostile and possibly a follow-up research or special project. Now, if it's a neutral, you will contact the new alien race. And when you contact any new empire, you're going to be given 3 choices to greet them. Now, initially, I didn't think it made any difference, so I was just picking anything. Well, that is not the case. The choice we make will affect their initial opinion of us, and we need to make that choice based on our governing civics and their governing civics. If we click up in the very top of the left-hand corner, we can see our empire's governing civics. The United Nations of Earth is a fanatic egalitarian, so basically they believe in the principle that all people are equal and deserve equal rights and opportunities. And they're xenophiles, so they want to contact, learn, and live peacefully with other aliens. Now, if we go over here, we can see that the empire that we have contacted are authoritarians. They believe in a caste system, and they could even have slaves in their population. So that is definitely against what we believe as egalitarians. And they're also spiritualists. So when I greet them, if we look at these choices, if we choose the first one, we're just using our xenophile governing civic. So we are basically saying to them, hey, we like other alien races, and we want to work with you. They don't have any ethic that would contradict this, so it would be a positive introduction. Our second choice is using the egalitarian civic, so we're saying we believe in a democratic society, and we don't tolerate anyone who is not following that standard. They are a dictatorship, so this is in contradiction, and this is going to have a negative impact on our relationship. And our last choice is coming at them with both civics saying, hey, we want to work with you, but we are a democratic society, again, which is going to be a negative. So you have to decide, do you potentially want to work with these guys, or do you want a fight right out of the gate saying, hey, we don't approve of what you guys are doing? I don't know what firepower they have, what their fleet size is. I really have no info on them at all. So what I'm going to do is play nice with them for now. So I go ahead and I select the top option, which is going to lessen the negative impact of our opposite civics. So now that we've introduced ourselves, I can see where they are. I can go over here. I can click on their empire icon to pull up the diplomacy screen. And from there, I can get some more info on them at this point. From here, I can see their current opinion of me is -30. That's actually not really that bad. I can see how much trust they have, which is 0 at this point. I can see their relative power. So right now, their fleet power and size is equivalent to ours, but their technology is superior. And I can also see their attitude towards us right now is wary. Now, the way to increase another empire's opinion of you is through trading. So I'll go ahead and I'll click on the trading button. And to increase our relationship, I need to give them a favorable trade. So I'm going to give them our star charts. That's going to show them all the stars that we have surveyed so far. And you can see that's going to increase this number here in the middle to a 3. And since we have an abundance of energy credits, what I'm going to do is give them an instant transfer of credits. When you're trading, you also have to take into consideration what you're trading with could potentially be used against you. I'm going to go ahead and click on confirm, and after they accept the trade, their opinion of us has grown. I could continue trading and trying to work on increasing their opinion of us, especially if I felt like I wanted to work with them in the future, but this is early in the game and they are slavers, and that's eventually going to lead to conflict. So my plan is just to kind of lead them on, keep their opinion of us close while I scout them out, and continue building my fleet up with the intentions of probably attacking them. So since they are on good terms with me right now, the first thing I'm going to do is send my science ships over to survey their planets so I can get a better idea of what they have right now. If they were on bad terms with me, they could shut off their borders, and this wouldn't be possible. And that could happen at any time, so I want to go ahead and do this pretty quickly. So after surveying their planets, I can see they are in fact enslaving people, and their fleet firepower is around 800, and all they have is corvettes at this point. So they have not unlocked destroyers yet. I'm already making destroyers, so I decide that I'm going to go ahead and attack them now. They're not a threat right now, but later on in the game, they could team up with another empire that has the same civics as them, and that could end up being bad for me. Now, I don't recommend ever attacking anyone with just corvettes, and the reason is it's difficult to take out space stations with just corvettes, so I normally wait till I have at least destroyers. I prefer cruisers, but you can do this with destroyers. If you attack with just corvettes early in the game, you're going to find out that most of your fleet is just going to get eaten up by the space stations, and then you're going to be racing to build your fleet back up. It's pretty difficult to win a war with just corvettes, especially if they're only equipped with level 1 weapons and armor. So before I declare war, the next thing I need is an assault army. So I click on Earth, and I'm going to go to the armies tab, and I'm going to create 5 assault armies. 5 is probably enough early on in the game. Once those are complete, I'm going to click on the disembark button, and they will now form a transport fleet. I'm going to move my attack fleet and my transport fleet to right outside his borders. So once I declare war, I'm going to have the jump on it. You don't want to have your ships in their borders when war is declared. If you do have your ships in their borders, they will be kicked out and they'll be lost for a period of time. Now we're in position. I will open the diplomacy screen and click on the declare war button, and that will open up the war demands. This will provide us with a whole list of demands, and you drag each demand you want over on top of your empire in the left pane and drop it on top of yours. We're going to go over the ones we're just really interested in right now. And the first one is Seed Planet. With the Seed Planet demand, if you win the war, each planet you demand to be seeded will then be placed under your control and added to your empire. But the population on that planet will still have the same governing ethics as before, so that potentially could lead to some issues. The next one is Liberate Planet. If we win the war, all the planets we demand to be liberated would form a new empire, and they would have the same governing ethics as our empire. They will also initially have a very high opinion of us because they're so grateful. So basically, you're going to gain a big ally if you liberate planets. The next two important demands are down here at the bottom of the list. The first one is vassalize. If you demand to vassalize an empire and win, their empire will stay intact, but they will now be your vassal, meaning they are forced to fight with you in any offensive or defensive wars. They have no choice. They have to participate, but they can no longer colonize any planets outside their borders. They will continue building up their existing planets and building their fleets up, and they will keep their governing ethics. But the longer they are vassalized under you, there is a chance they could switch to your ethics. And after a period of time, you can integrate them into your empire, gaining all their planets and their fleets. And the last option we're going to look at is tributary. If you make them a tributary, they will be forced to pay you 25% of their mineral and energy income, but you cannot attack them. Also, neither you or them are under any obligation to help one another if attacked. I feel the best choice for us here is to liberate these planets. Once I select my demands, then they're going to come back with their demands and the war has begun. Once the war is started, I'm going to get a fight icon in the bottom right hand corner. If I click on that, it's going to have two screens, the status of the war and the negotiate tab. I'm going to click on the negotiate tab and click on each demand I want enforced. Each one of these has a number next to it, which adds to the war score I must achieve in order to enforce that demand. To gain war score, you need to win space battles and successfully occupy enemy planets. I'm going to go ahead and move to attack his first planet, and surprisingly, he has no spaceport on this planet. I move in to attack his planet, and as soon as I do that, his fleet jumps into space and initializes an attack against mine, but without destroyers, my fleet makes quick work of his corvettes. So then I go ahead and I highlight my fleet, and I click on the planet to begin orbital bombardment. Each planet has fortifications, and as long as those fortifications are up, it provides the defensive armies on that planet with very high damage reduction. So before sending our armies down, we have to destroy all their planetary fortifications through orbital bombardment. Governing ethics determine what level of bombardment is allowed. Limited is the lightest amount of bombardment. It is also the slowest, but it does protect all life on the planet, and it does very limited damage to buildings. Light bombardment does as little damage as possible to civilians, but it does prevent defensive armies from healing. And the last one you have is heavy, and heavy bombardment is the fastest level of bombardment, but it is done with no consideration to life on the planet. I am using light, so it does take quite a while to destroy the fortifications on the planet, but once they're gone, I select my transport fleet, and then right-click on the planet and select land armies. And after I do that, my army's going to land, and an automatic battle then begins between the armies.
Planetary invasion begun.
We have won the fight, and the planet is now under our control, so I'm going to click on the embark all, and the attack fleet leaves the planet, so it's ready to move on and try to occupy the next planet. Since we've successfully occupied this planet, this adds to our current war score, and we are closer to our victory. So at this point, he is pretty much screwed. I destroyed his entire fleet, so he's obviously right now racing to build up another fleet of corvettes, which I'm just going to destroy again. And while this is all going on, I'm just continuing to build even more and more ships, adding to my fleet power as well. So if I wanted to, I could just sit on this planet, not do anything else, and continue slowly gaining war score points. It would take quite a while. It would drag out for some time just sitting here and occupying this one planet. But eventually, I probably would win because he's not going to be able to take out my fleet and retake his planet. But instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to speed this up and try to occupy another one of his planets. I move my fleet in to take out his spaceport, and then I begin the process of bombarding again. Now, while bombarding the next planet, he does attack again, and I destroy his fleet again. And eventually, I do occupy the planet, which adds to the war score, and at that point, I'm able to force my demands on him. After I force my demands, the nation is then liberated. They immediately contact me, and you can see they think very highly of me. I am now their hero, and they want to form a defensive pact with me. So now I've gained an ally. And guys, that's a very quick overview of a 1 versus 1 war. I really recommend anyone beginning the game to play on a small map with a limited number of empires to get used to fighting these smaller wars. Because once you add in more empires, these things could get very complicated because you're going to begin dealing with multiple empires having defensive pacts, and then you're going to add in federations being formed. These wars can draw out for a long period of time, so you also have to get used to, as you're fighting the war, you want to continue building your empire and still sending your science ships out and doing things like that. So playing on a small map is a good way to get practice in fighting these wars. So I hope you guys found this video useful. If you did, I really would appreciate it if you hit the thumbs up button. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.